We'll bring in Bubba O'Neill here from CHCH TV Hamilton to discuss today. It's been far too long since we chatted with him. How you doing, Bubba?
Well, just surviving in this COVID world like the rest of us and trying to, find as many sports as we can to talk about. I mean, because you're right, it's diminishing, and every day when I'm on air, there's a COVID story somewhere affixed to whatever we're talking about.
Yeah, we're trying our best to spend 2 hours a day sidestepping that, but it's getting more difficult. But of all those topics that I just discussed there, which one interests you? Do you want to start with a fight? Did you watch it Saturday night?
Well, I went into it, again, I'm a guy that used to travel. I mean, people that don't know, where I reside is only about 45 minutes away from the border in Niagara Falls. And generally, we would sometimes go to Buffalo, my friends and I. I've been watching Mike Tyson since his third fight, because there was this guy, Iron Mike Tyson. Everyone talked about him, and they knew about him because a lot of his fights and a lot of his training came from in the Catskills. So well known in New York State. And a guy that was knocking out people. So who didn't want to see guys like that? So I've been traveling across the border and following his career for as long as I can remember. And, it was what it was. It was an exhibition. I don't think we could have expected anything kind of hard hitting. I did think that Iron Mike showed some mercy. There was definitely, there could have been way more shots to the head that were delivered by Mike. And I give him appreciation. I thought he showed up in shape. I thought he looked good going 8 rounds. I thought Roy Jones was definitely the more tired boxer. But what disappointed me, and again, if there is to be any disappointment, I would have liked to see the standard 3-minute rounds. That's the only thing that bothered me.
Would you watch a rematch? Would it be worthwhile?
I don't think Roy Jones will be doing this ever again. I do believe Mike will be doing this again. I think because of the shape that he went in, the interest that he certainly attaches to all of these events, we all go into them saying that we're not going to watch. So, you know what? I'm going to be really honest with you. 45 minutes before 9 o'clock is Eastern Standard Time is when the fight went on pay-per-view. That's when I made my purchase. Because I had to see it. Because was it going to be a train wreck? Was it going to be what we expected? Was it going to be maybe a little bit more? I had to view it. Now you're getting Lennox Lewis saying, that there's some unfinished business between him and Mike. So who steps up? Does George Foreman somehow make another appearance? These are all the fun things that we could probably get sucked into when Mike does fight again, because I believe he will.
Oh, I think he will too, for sure. Yeah. Whether those two guys or not, I don't know. I will watch it, of course, because there's nothing else to watch. And maybe in 2021, team sports, I don't think are going to be a thing for a while. And boxing, MMA have shown an ability to pull off competition in this COVID climate. So why the heck not? But the thing with Tyson, if you were following him this long, Bubba, like in the 90s, my God, thank God we enjoyed it so much, because there's really nothing like it now. Just the sheer domination of Mike Tyson in the 90s. At least we appreciated it back then.
And it was really the tail end of the glory days of the heavyweight division. Of course, you're talking about, the days of Muhammad Ali and Foreman and Frazier and Norton and what happened there in the late 60s to about the 80s. And then there was this little drop off, and then Mike Tyson appeared. And in fact, in between, there was a time also too where I thought the middleweights, Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler, guys like that, they kind of took over. The Thomas Pittman Hearns. They were kind of the big guys that took over, but they were more the middleweight, the welterweight, and then the heavyweights became the big deal. A lot of people that are obviously older than I can tell you this, and I learned this. There was a day when being the heavyweight champion of the world was the biggest title in sports. It doesn't seem that way now, certainly because boxing is just not ranked where we place the National Hockey League or the National Football League nowadays. But that was the biggest title to have, many eras ago. So I thought Mike Tyson was one of those guys that brought back the interest. He was more than just a boxer. He was an entertainer. He was a guy that was in the news for sometimes all the wrong reasons, the Robin Gibbons controversy, biting people's ears off. But, there's something about Mike Tyson. and then the comeback with the movie. I can't remember the name of the movie, but
Hangover.
He became The Hangover. He became this affectionate kind of guy that we all kind of fell in love to because of guys like Mike and the sort of the era that I'm in. That we were like, great to see Mike again.
This is great, Bob. I appreciate it. And I'm going to go to the viewer board now. John Ohm is watching in Winnipeg. Bubba, what do you think of plans to build a new park for the Toronto Blue Jays? I couldn't believe how many people wanted us to talk about it on Friday. I think it's time's past if that's what Rogers thinks. But what's the vibe there in the Golden Horseshoe?
Well, there's just people don't love the Sky Dome, as we called it in the very beginning, and now Rogers Place and Rogers Center. And I mean, they call it the concrete eyesore and all it is. I've always said when that building is full, it's a fun place. And you're right. And back in the 80 and 85, and when this thing opened up, it was the spaceship. It was something we'd never seen before. A retractable roof. It was incredible. I do believe that there are plans. I think they're many years away from this actually happening. There's been some reports of planting stories and Rogers trying to stir up some interest. Hey, there's a lot of money to be spent, and if it is public, if it's done on a business owned, on a business aspect, and no public funds are used, I think people will be more interested into it. But I mean, I do believe it'll happen sometime. I do believe there will be a new park, a smaller park. I think the Montreal Alouettes here in Canada kind of proved it. You kind of tighten up that attendance and make these buildings a little bit smaller, and the demand for tickets increases. You become the hot topic in the city. I believe it will happen, but I don't think it's going to be anytime soon, guys.
Isn't that amazing when you say that, though? Because now we're seeing, and you're going to see this with new venues going smaller. There was a time in the 80s, you look at BC Place, Metrodome in the 70s, it was big. And it was too big in all these places. So I think you're exactly right. And that also would preclude the NFL coming to Canada, too. But I just want to say this. I'm loving this visit down history lane, Bubba. I didn't think you were as old as me. But remember when Rogers Center Sky Dome opened and it took a half an hour? Still does take half an hour for the roof to open. And we were like, ooh. Now you go to places like Minute Maid Park. It's like 5 minutes. Boop. It's like it's quicker than the sunroof in your car. But the Sky Dome.
There was a couple of
Go ahead.
Yeah, there was a couple of debacles there too, and there was one in particular. I'm not quite sure who the opponent was. It was a weekday game. I do remember where it broke. Right, he used to keep it right open until it started to rain, and when it would start to rain, of course, it would only take 20 minutes to close. And the forecast was for rain, and people were soaked, and of course, they weren't happy. Right. So, hey, I think it's great to have a dome in Toronto, especially with the kind of weather that we're experiencing right now. It's pouring rain. You never know when you're going to get snow, especially when the season starts early in April. But it's always nice to be in a nice 68 to 70 degree facility when there's inclement weather. But I do believe it'll happen, though. But can I say this so quickly, though? And I don't know if you guys know too much about it. The Blue Jays have been kind of in the news for some right reasons and the wrong reasons. Mike Wilner, one of the broadcasters that has been with the Blue Jays for many, many years, 20 years, I'm led to believe, no longer with the radio broadcast, kind of let loose there by Rogers. And I just wanted to salute him, and as many people have. As you know, and I can also attest to, we all grow up being in this industry, dreaming to, be the play-by-play guy for the Saskatchewan Roughriders or the Hamilton Tiger Cats or the Toronto Maple Leafs. And he lived out his dream doing the Toronto Blue Jays. So, hopefully that, something turns up real good for him because he's a real good guy.
I had no idea that had happened, and I'm sorry to hear it, obviously. Yeah, I know he called the Jays games, but I remember him from Jays Talk when he was just like losing it on callers, right? He was the host of Jays Talk when the Jays were terrible, and he felt the need to defend the team because you have to do it in that role. My God, it's like Teddy Michaels with the Ticats. Don't get me started. I remember the day. But Can you? Did I say? Can you save the comment from Trenton, Norway? I'll get to it when we hang up with Bubba here. But I just want to say this: the Bills got a team. I think we talked about it the last time you were on. How excited are they in your area over what the Bills are doing?
Well, it's been a long time coming. I mean, how many quarterbacks in between Jim Kelly and Josh Allen? You could go on and on and on. I think the list is very long. Maybe not as long as the Cleveland Browns, but the list is very, very long. This is exciting. Do I think they're the best team in the AFC? Probably not. I still think there's lots of leeway and lots of things for Josh Allen to learn. But what I like about him is that he is like Jim Kelly back in the day. He's the leader of the team. And every single year you see him getting a little bit better at doing something, whether that's throwing the ball, his decision making, being able to make more throws. His accuracy when he was drafted was highly in question. He certainly improved that. And now this team has been built around him. We got a defense that I think needs some improvement, but I think that they can maybe win a round. And I think last year's experience losing to the Houston Texans in a really exciting game, a game that they really could have won, which went to overtime, I think they could be ready to make another step. And, I don't think they're with the big boys. I don't think they're with the Kansas City Chiefs at this point, but I do believe they're ready to contend. Their schedule hasn't been easy, but they're still hanging in there at 8-3.
No kidding. And they're in a far softer division than they're used to being with, right?
Yes.
So, it's fun to watch. Bubba, you're the best, man. I always enjoy our visits. Stay safe, and let's do it again soon. Happy holidays. I'll be the first to say it.
You as well, too. And again, I say it every time, and I don't think you guys realize, maybe you do, you guys are making some headway. And this is great to see that we have a radio show or a TV show or an internet show that talks sports, and it just brings everyone together, whether it be broadcasters from all over the country. And again, I watch you guys every day, and it's great to see what you guys are doing.
Thank you, Bubba. I don't think we really know what we're doing. I wish we were going a little faster than what we're doing, but I appreciate you saying that, because sometimes you don't know what people are saying around you. So thank you, buddy. Let's do it again soon.
Keep it up. Anytime. Keep it up.
Bubba O'Neill joining us from CHCH TV, Hamilton. And the truth of the matter is, we've said it many times, our fastest growing region for viewership is Ontario and the United States. And we're also carried on Game Plus on Rogers Cable and Cogeco Cable in Ontario.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.